Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to take a look at the Fighting Legend Vegeta event and how to beat the Gifted Warriors category challenge. So, in terms of the Vegeta event, we've looked at the Vegeta event in the past, and in terms of this team, how we've kind of worked our way around the Gifted Warriors category is to go with more a Frieza / extreme aligned Gifted Warriors. Now, it works in two ways, and we'll talk about Gifted Warriors first before we talk about the team. So, Gifted Warriors as a category is kind of split between like Trunks, Goten, there's some Krillin units, there's like some Vegetas and stuff like that, and some other extreme type units, mainly being Frieza. So a lot of them are Frieza, Wicked Bloodlines, etc, etc. So, when we talk about the Gifted Warriors category, for me it was quite difficult to design a team around having Goten, Trunks. It's very possible to do the event with that team, but I do think you need the Gifted Warriors lead. They are very, very good, they're exceptional, and they just allow the team to function really well. You can technically run a youth team, but it just doesn't feel as good. So I went with this Frieza team. Now this Frieza team does exceptionally well. It does the events so fast that I didn't even bother to edit the video. It does the event in like 17 minutes or something, which is a very good time. Not the fastest time. I mean, people have finished it. You know, people with rainbow teams and rainbow units and whatnot have finished these events very quickly. But it was a very good clear for me. 17 minutes, I think it was my fastest time. So this team moves at quite a rapid speed. Who we have on this team? Well, we have double Planet Namek Frieza, the full power Frieza. An exceptional unit, just fantastic. He's going to obviously stack his defense on his 18 key. We need to ensure that we get the 18 key stack of defense, because he has great starting defense, but after 7 turns that defense is going to drop because he's going to lose part of his passive. So we need to make sure that we're stacking defense, so by the time the defense from the passive drops off, he's already stacked enough defense that's not really a big issue. We do manage to do that, so we're not too concerned overall, but it is something that you do need to make sure you do. You have to try and ensure that you get your 18 keys off with both your AGL Freezers. The second most important unit here is going to be the Tech Transforming Frieza. I have a rainbow one with level 10 links, so please bear in mind that he does a ridiculously insane amount of damage throughout the video. He is insanely prepped though. He has the best gear, he's got level 10 links, he's got rainbow stats. This is the absolute best version of Tech Frieza. If you are going to try this event, you probably need to have 2 dupes in Tech Frieza, or you need to have the Otherworld Frieza, also a good substitute. Very, very solid unit, fantastic performer as well, and stacks defense. So if you don't have Tech Frieza but you want to run a similar kind of team, running the Otherworld Warriors Frieza will also be a really solid shout. The physical one, he'll be really solid. Then the partner for the other rotation is the third form Frieza, the Sworn Enemies support Frieza. Again, great link set with the LR Frieza, gonna give him that key that he needs to reach his 18 key consistently. This Frieza does start off a little bit slow, but fortunately it's not slow enough. He builds himself into the event, and this tech phase kind of really helps us bring the Int Frieza like into the fold. He really through this int phase kind of gets enough stacks off, because the AGL Freezers aren't like insta-killing the tech phase. So he manages to get a couple stacks, build that up, and then that really leaves us in a much better position. In terms of remaining units, we have the Demon King Piccolo. Fantastic unit, really good. Sworn Enemies, Gifted Warriors, which is great. Damage reduction if you get 5 tech orbs, and then after 7 turns he'll transform, and then for 7 turns we'll have the damage reduction stock standard, and then we can get it again with orbs. Thankfully he generates tech orbs, and the only other unit that uses tech orbs is the Tech Transforming Frieza, who we don't really need to use the orbs with unless we're trying to get some additional healing. So overall, pretty easy to set up the Demon King Piccolo for his full passive. And then our final units are the Int Golden Frieza, the Target Goku Support Frieza. He just stacks defense and supports the Target Goku category, which is a large portion of our team. So realistically, he's just solid. He doesn't do anything spectacular. He does stack a little bit slow. Mine's a rainbow, so there are possibly better alternatives out there, and if you do have one, you should probably bring it. He's not integral. I don't think his support makes the rest of the rotations like, you know, perform to the ability where they will beat the event. Like, I don't think his support is necessary to beat the event, but he is a nice unit to have. But if you do have other options, Otherworld Frieza is a great replacement for him. Not only just a stronger unit overall, but just better defensively, will stack faster. This Int Frieza can stack a little bit slowly. Decent, but he can stack a little bit slowly, and it is a tiny bit scary around the physical phase. Frieza is going to kill the strength phase of Vegeta, by the way, in a single turn, which is nuts. This is only, so I have a 55% Frieza, and the friend Frieza is with one dupe, and they like insta-kill phases of this event. It is nuts how much damage this Frieza combination does. Look at this. No drop off between the 18 and 12 key, which is madness. But yeah, so Frieza, really good. Agl Frieza, Tech Frieza, nothing to worry about there. Neither of those units you really have to worry about. There is a weird stage where Frieza's defense drops. That defense drops off, like I said, from his passive, and then he has like one turn, which I think is actually now with the Int phase. Yeah, I think it's now. You'll see now my 55% Frieza in this phase here takes a little bit of damage from normals. And it's because his defense like drops down, and then he hasn't stacked yet. So, but that's really it. Like, it's literally this one turn, and then they continue stacking their defense, and their defense remains perfectly fine throughout. Like I said, it is pretty imperative to make sure that you get all your attacks off. The more 18 keys you get off, the less you will have this kind of little bump in the curve, and you should be more than fine. So it's not the end of the world if it happens. Like, as you can see, I mean, Vegeta didn't do a ridiculous amount of damage, and Frieza, after firing off the super attack and the next super attack, will be perfectly fine. But it is just something like, yeah, that you can be aware of. Just know that you should focus on trying to get them to stack. It is going to help you quite a bit. But that being said, everything is pretty easy. The Demon King Piccolo, he can take some damage here in the Int phase, but from super attacks he doesn't die. I think he takes about 180k or something, which is really not that much considering how big our health we got, 191k. Which really isn't that much. I mean, we didn't even get like tech orbs with him. Had we got tech orbs, he would have had some kind of defense, and he would have taken even less damage. Like, that's as scary as it gets. You do have to kind of burst through the final phase. It's not like, I wouldn't recommend sitting and kind of stalling on the final phase. There's no reason to stall. You kind of want to hit as hard and as fast as possible. The Tech Transforming Frieza is gonna like cover most of that, and the AGL Full Power Frieza will dish out a ridiculous amount of damage anyway. So, like, it's not necessarily the most difficult thing to do to like burst through the phase. I mean, I'm not really facilitating anything here. All I'm doing is ensuring that Frieza gets his 18 key. Tech Frieza, because he gets 3+ key when facing super enemies, you can kind of like work your way around the orbs that way. You'll see a couple times I like use one orb on Tech Frieza, because, you know, he doesn't really need 4 key. He actually only needs 1 key, which is a blessing. And then this Int Frieza does a really good job as well. This third form Frieza is a crazy unit, by the way. This is a 55% version. This unit doesn't even have a dupe in it, and it's like just building its way up to like 3 million attack stats, which is wild. I do have the LR Goku and Vegeta. We don't use their revive skill. They were there for their revive skill, but we didn't end up using it, which is what it is. But they do really good damage as well, actually, especially when you get their 18 key. And defensively, they sound as a floater. I'm not gonna say that they like do ridiculous amounts of like damage or anything, but they do really like hold their own, and they help fill out the category. If you don't have them, like I said, you could run other freezers in this. You could run maybe the AGL Golden Freezer is a solid option. Also Gifted Warriors. I just don't like the drop below 40%, because you can sometimes get below 40%. But I mean, you know, it's entirely up to you guys. The Tech Freezer also as well, Tech Golden Freezer is there. They won't do as much damage as Agl Goku and Vegeta, but they might be able to hold their own defensively enough that it doesn't really matter. You won't have to at least worry about them dying or anything silly like that. So for the most part, yeah, the team's pretty set up. It does quite well. The AGL Freezer carries a lot of the damage workload. The other Freezers are all defensively sound enough, and for the most part there's not too much to worry about. I use items. A lot of the times they are just to ensure safety, to ensure the victory. You could take the gamble on a lot of these item uses. Like, you don't have to use a Whis for the last stage. You don't have to use, you know, Princess Snakes and stuff like that. You could just try and heal naturally, but at the same time, if it's not needed, I don't really see the point. I'm not trying to no item run the LVE. I'm just trying to get the challenges done, and I'm sure a lot of people are. All the stones and the tickets that people want are there, so yeah, for me overall, not really too concerned about that. But at the same time, like, I do get it. A lot of people don't like using items. It's like a point of pride. So yeah, you could possibly not use items using this team. It's just going to depend on the dupes that you have. I think if you have the Otherworld Warriors Freezer, you could basically do it with no item quite easily. His stacking defense is very, very good. Plus his like offensive output is very, very good as well. So not really a big issue overall though. Team's great, team is fantastic. You'll see here we take 47k, is nothing really. And just overall we're just really, really solid. Our risk points were this Freezer getting supered, which would have been bad. I think we would have possibly died, but not really too bad. Yeah, for the most part, that Freezer does pretty solid damage, which is great, and he also has a pretty good defense, so I'm not too worried about him. I think he definitely, I mean, he took single digits from normals, and like I said, we have quite a high health pool, so I just don't know if it's like entirely required. We're going to save Freezer's active skill. We want to just save both Freezer's active skills for the final stage. Rather use both of them on the Agl phase than use any of them to finish off the physical one. If we maybe had like the Int Golden Freezer in the final slot, or maybe if there was some issue and I was concerned, or we're low on health and I was concerned about the Int Goku and Vegeta in the final slot, I would maybe have used it now, but ended up just saving them for the final phase. I also only ended up using one for the final phase, so you could actually possibly have another one as well, which is great. Yeah, it's fantastic, so you definitely could utilize that secondary active skill. I only managed to use one, so that is a nice little bonus. And then yeah, we're now at the AGL phase. So like I said, the event goes pretty quickly with them. Honestly, was really fast. Like for me, who's used to. Also, usually when I do these events, like I'm just filming a couple turns, so I do usually take a bit slower. I do stuff in between the filming of the turns and everything like that. Here I just kind of sat down and just wanted to get the event out the way. I knew this Freezer team could get it done. 186k with a Whis, obviously quite a lot of damage. We will be stacking defense or continue to stack defense, so we're not too concerned too much about it. And Frieza's output is just nuts. It's absolutely insane. Like, he's doing a bar of health each time he attacks. Like, he's just shredding a single bar off of Vegeta, not even with crits. Like, this Frieza's not even getting crits, he's just literally just hitting him for a bar of health every single time. He just doesn't care. Which is cool. It's really good damage output from Frieza. We got the follow-up, the third form Frieza, also doing some really good damage. Both Friezas, pretty much every Frieza in this video, I think you're building crit. Even the tech transforming Frieza, although I like to kind of split it on the tech transforming Frieza, you know, go for a bit of additionals, go for a bit of critting. The additionals do help his defense build up, and I mean, additional attacks are sometimes effective, especially when you're, you know, fighting with type advantage content. Like this phase here, we're glad that Frieza's got the chance to do additionals. But yeah, overall, I mean, you can see I'm pushing Frieza, the tech Frieza, into the first slot. He's got close to 300k defense, so he's really not in trouble. I'm avoiding taking those green orbs, by the way, with Frieza, because it's not really needed, because he'll get the key anyway. And I'm rather giving them to Piccolo, just so he has a bit more defense, just so he has like a bit more damage, a bit more of his full suite. We didn't really need to heal. If we needed to heal a lot, I would have taken them with Frieza, because obviously the higher your defense, the more you heal. So I would have definitely taken them with Frieza if we had needed to heal, but we didn't. So I just kind of said, well, you know what, it's not really like necessary, so let's rather use them on the Demon King Piccolo, and let's just rather get a good performance out of him. You can see here that Frieza, my one, didn't manage to get his additional to proc in that second and third slot, but that's okay. I still did some decent damage anyway. Piccolo as well, doing some really solid damage. And yeah, so all pretty cool. By the way, Vegeta still has 3 bars of health, well, two bars and a little bit of health left. And this Frieza's active skill is going to get rid of all his remaining health, which surprised me. I didn't realize how strong Frieza's active skill was, but if you want a good idea of how strong it is, it's basically about to finish the fight for us, which is really rad. So yeah, that was a really cool way to finish it off. Obviously, get the KO screen as well. Frieza was like, get out of here, Vegeta, and there we go. All really straightforward, honestly, nice and quick. Team was effective, no real panic stages, not too many either way. And yeah, just honestly a very nice fun run of the event. So that's gonna be it from me, guys. Let me know in the comments how you found the challenge. Did you try a different team? Did you try the Goten and Trunks kind of build? And obviously, have you finished this challenge, or did this help you in any way? Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and otherwise I'll see you in the next one. But until then, take care, stay safe, and bye.